we'll do the 2020 NBA draft. I think we're doing the redraft for the 2020 NBA draft, and the notable players we're going to be doing: Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, Maxey, and Desmond Bain.
So I'm gonna go Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey, and Desmond Bain. That's my five. Like Ant to me, number one, just because he's easily the best scorer out of this group, and the most athletic. Like I feel like his skill set, it's just incredible. For him as a player, and like I'll give him like 3 years before he's like a top 15, top 12 maybe player. That's his type of ceiling that he has. Tyrese Halliburton at number two, just because this guy's just been just an incredible playmaker, a top five playmaker in this league this season. Just it feels like every game I tune into Pacers and he's at like 15 assists, 14 assists, 12 assists with like one or two turnovers. So this guy as a playmaker is incredible, and he's a great outside shooter. LaMelo Ball, I feel like LaMelo Ball, a lot of people are starting to overlook him a bit just because of the injuries and the situation in Charlotte. Just a lot of losing and the play in games, but LaMelo Ball is an incredibly talented point guard. He's a great facilitator. I just feel like they need to do a better job of surrounding him with talent. At number four, I got Tyrese Maxey. Of course, this guy is just lightning quick, an absolute bucket getter. Just when you need a transition score, this guy's your man. Well, when you need a quick outside shot, this guy's your man. Like he can score in a variety of ways. He has that floater. He's incredibly quick. So, and then number five, I have Desmond Bain here. But of course, when we're ranking these players, no knock on each one. But I have Desmond Bain at number five just because I feel like his skill set as a scorer is not as good as some of the other guys. But when it comes to shooting, this guy's elite. When we talk about elite, like if you wanted to argue this guy's a top three shooter in the NBA, you can go ahead and do it. And I feel like he's really kind of expanded his game this season. It sucks that he got injured, but he was well on his way to a kind of an all-star type of season. He was averaging about 24 a game with elite outside shooting. So, I mean, I feel like if he stayed healthy, he could probably potentially leapfrog a couple players on this list, but I have him at five.
So at one, I'm gonna go Tyrese. At two, I'm gonna take Ant. At three, I'm gonna take Lamelo. At four, I'm gonna take Maxi, and then at five, I'm gonna take Bane. At one, I just felt like Tyrese. Obviously, he's one of the best playmakers this year in the league, top five. Like Abdi said, I feel like he can take his scoring to the next level. That's why I have him as one. He's not fully complete yet, and as a leader on the Pacers right now, having them contend for a playoff spot is pretty amazing at the young age he's at. At two, and he's a fantastic player, one of the best physically gifted players in the league. I just feel like he just blanketed by those two twin towers this year, man. I feel like we're not going to be able to see his full game these next couple of years. Him
Funny
develop.
thing is, when Cat's been out, this guy started to hoop.
He started to hoop when one of these guys are out. And it's just like it's fine with one of them on the court, but when Cat comes back and you got the two twin towers spacing out the course, it's not going to work well for him. And all I just feel like is just I feel like these guys are going to block him from developing into the player that he's supposed to be, and I hope that doesn't happen. But I got him at two. So and then three for me was Lamelo. Like Abdi said, he's kind of getting overlooked again. He doesn't have that shine all over his face. He hasn't been playing with injuries. He's been getting hurt. There's been a lot going on with the Charlotte Hornets. Players not practicing, team tanking. They're not winning much games. But I feel like, once they get set and once they get him a full roster and they build around him, I feel like Lamelo can be the best player in this draft. I feel like he has the talents to be one of the best playmakers, and he has the talents to be one of the best scorers in the draft as well. So we'll see what happens with the Charlotte Hornets and everything. But let me move on to number four, Tyrese Maxey. Phenomenal player, phenomenal role player, a bucket getter, athletic, a defender, and a playmaker all in one. Just, he's playing with Embiid, he's playing with Harden as a third option, but we see what type of talent he is. We see what type of hooper he is. So got him at four. And then Desmond Bain, man, my guy, Fish Money right there. He's a hooper, big bucket getter, big defender. He's a shooter. Very compliments to Ja. That's the type of player Ja needs, a guy that can, shoot threes, play defense, get his own bucket some way, somehow. And Desmond Bain's that type of guy. I just feel like he's not as electric or as fast or as athletic as the rest of these guys are on the list right here. He's not a great playmaker like a lot of these guys are on the list right here. But for me, if he was healthy this season, Abdi said it. He could have been an all-star just off this season. He could have jumped a couple guys on the list. So hopefully he gets back healthy and we'll see what he can do.
For me, I'm gonna have to go number one. I would pick LaMelo Ball, simply because I feel like this guy, for him, the ceiling, the sky's the limit for him. His game is pretty much all around like a 6'7" point guard, where he's right now averaging 22 points and 7 assists. I feel like his scoring, we haven't seen the best of it just yet. I feel like this guy's capable of averaging 25 and 8 on a consistent, like in a 3-4 year stretch, when he actually reaches his prime. I feel like where he's just barely scratching the surface right now. But you really can't go wrong when it comes to the 1 and 2 spot. Anthony Edwards is number 2 on my list, and for me, uh, he's easily, of course, the best scorer on this list. But my only knock on Anthony Edwards is just simply the fact that, of course, we can blame his situation, being with guys like Karl Anthony Towns and being with guys like Rudy Gobert. I feel like he's just a bit inconsistent when it comes to scoring. Some nights you see him go off for 30 plus points, and then some other nights you see him kind of go off for maybe 16, 17 points. And, the shooting is not necessarily the greatest that night. So I feel like Anthony Edwards, when he starts to figure it all out together, where he's averaging about 25 points per game on good shooting percentages from the field and from the 3-point land, that's when he's gonna like solidify himself as a superstar. If there's any 2 players on this list that have superstar potential, it's him first and then it's LaMelo. But as of right now, for me, I would have to go LaMelo 1, Anthony Edwards 2. My third one will be Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton is our modern day Chris Paul. In terms of scoring the ball, I think we're capped out with Tyrese Halliburton. We're never necessarily going to see him average over 20 points per game, and I think that's kind of where he's at right now, somewhere between 18 and 20. But the assist can go up or down. It really just depends on him. He can average 10, 11, 12 assists a game, simply what Chris Paul used to do back in the day. This guy is just so gifted as a passer. He has eyes in the back of his head. He sees things that other players don't necessarily see, other coaches don't necessarily see. He's just so gifted on that side of the ball. He can also shoot the ball. He can score the ball a little bit. But in terms of being like a better scorer compared to guys like LaMelo Ball and compared to guys like Anthony Edwards, I don't necessarily see him taking that next step ever in his career. I don't think he necessarily has that in his game. His game is similar to what we used to see from Chris Paul, where he's giving you the double on a consistent basis each and every year. And then for my number 4 spot, I would have to go Tyrese Maxey. I think I've said a lot about this guy in our star bench cut. I don't hate the guy. I just feel like, I've always said, he just feels a little bit lost out there when he's alongside guys like Joel Embiid. He's alongside guys like James Harden. But overall, his game, he's a crazy scorer. He can score the ball all 3 levels. We see him go out on scoring outbursts, 40-point per games, where he's maybe been hitting like 8 or 9 3-pointers in that game. He's a crazy scorer. Defensively, he's starting to slowly get better on that side of the ball. And I saw a little bit of him when James Harden went out, but he went out a little right after. But before he went out, he was starting to play alongside Embiid. It was a little bit of a 1-2 punch there. So I'll have to put him at my 4th spot. And Desmond Bane, I don't know. It's a love-hate relationship with this guy. It's no knock on him. He just doesn't provide anything besides scoring, besides shooting and defense. Desmond Bane's the guy that doesn't necessarily put the ball on the floor and kind of get his own bucket. He can low-key do it, but it's not necessarily at like a high level. He's more of kind of like I'm gonna pump fake the ball one time, I'm gonna take 2 dribbles and pull up on you again, or I'm gonna spot up for a 3 and I'm gonna hit it, So he's an elite shooter. To say that he's like a top 3 shooter in this league, it might be a reach. It might be a little bit of a reach. There's a lot of great shooters in this league, but he's definitely a top 5 3-point shooter for sure. He's a sniper from that side from beyond the 3-point line. But I do agree with you, Big H. He is a great complimentary piece to a guy like John Morant, where a guy he's gonna get him so many opportunities on that perimeter for him to get an open look. And Desmond Bane does a great job of hitting those shots. But for right now, he'd have to be my number 5. But that caps off my list. But 2020, man, I thought there was more notable stars in this draft, but we got a sneaky 3. Tyrese Halliburton went under the radar, Tyrese Maxey, and then of course Desmond Bane. So
that draft kind of stunk, man.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the greatest draft.
The next year's draft was better.
Yeah, but that's probably one thing we're gonna be doing on this episode. We're just gonna be going through drafts. So probably next we'll do 2021.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and LH now, that's overkill.